Hey everyone, so I've been thinking a lot about the demographics of you, essentially. It's funny because this has been a thing that I guarantee you, not just me, but a lot of people have been thinking about. Specifically, I'm sure Ethan Van Sciver thinks about it. I'm sure your boy Zach thinks about it. The list could go on and on and on. And that's because the better you understand the audience, the better you're able to, make books for your audience. Right? It's funny because it's not funny. It's actually kind of sad because DC and Marvel, it seems like they thought they understood their audience, or they understood a section of their audience that they wanted. And then they also understood a section of their audience that they didn't want. And that's the best way that I can think of how to put all this together. Okay. So I've been sort of going back and forth in my mind with what is the correct format for this whole indie comics game, because there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to get into comic shops. There's no guarantee that, a lot of things like traditional distribution, going to bookstores, comic shops, or otherwise, there's just no guarantee. You can sell stuff on Amazon. I sell books on Amazon right now. I sell probably maybe like 3 novels a year or something like that. I think my sales have picked up though since I've had the YouTube channel, which is great. So thanks if you're buying my novel All for Owen. But yeah, Amazon's one of those things. It's not like books are available all the time, but people aren't really buying. And Amazon isn't helping you sell those. They used to be a lot better with helping you sell books. Now, not so much. All right, so I just went ahead and asked it. I should have done this a long time ago, and I always think of questions I could be asking, or things I want to know, but I feel like if I'm asking too often, that maybe it becomes just too much. So much like with a mailing list, I want to be careful with all of that. All right, so having said all that, I did 3 different polls, 1 survey and 2 different polls, and I've collected some data. Now you always got to be careful. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a statistician. These sample sizes are very small, but I will say at least they are targeted to, at least a cross section of the people that are buying independent comics through crowdfunding campaigns. So that's as much as I'm going to give you. All right, so here's a question. What is your preferred binding for a crowdfunded book? Again, I've always gone back and forth on this. For some reason, I had it in my mind that most people wanted floppies. Like there was the collector's market, and you wanted to have that single issue type comic. Yeah, it's a little thicker, but it's still just a comic book. That's what I thought people wanted. It turns out I was completely wrong. And so this is interesting information. So for a floppy, a stapled, that's a saddle stitch floppy that you would get bagged and board, 17% from the YouTube crowd, and this is out of 156 votes, 17% of you said that you wanted a stapled floppy. And then a perfect bound graphic novel, 83% said that you wanted that when you're looking at specifically a crowdfunded book. Now, the nice thing about this is that a perfect bound graphic novel, you can actually fit more value into it for sure. You can fit more pages. You can provide more value in the printing. Because you can do a nice book, and I think Downcast was a really nice book. I spared no expense making it a quality print job and making it a good book. Same question here over on Twitter. This is with 183 votes, and 18.6% said they wanted a stapled floppy, and 81.4% said that they wanted a perfect bound graphic novel format. So that's really pretty close, 83 versus 81.5. Pretty close. Again, not massive sample sizes. They were in different places. Maybe there was some crossover between the two audiences. Maybe you voted twice, once in both places. That's possible. Oh, hey, look at this. I had to retweet this. Nacho, this is the artist on Downcast. I love looking through his portfolio because he does some really cool painted stuff. So yeah, there's a piece he did. All right, so last I'm going to share this with you. If you backed the first Downcast campaign, I sent out an update, and I also included a survey. And so 76 people were kind enough to take that survey. I was really curious how many people I would get. I don't know, again, the sample size, if it's typical of the rest of the backers that backed the first book. I'm not sure, but I do think that this is helpful information, so I thought I'd share it with you. First question I asked is, how satisfied are you with the shipping fulfillment of Downcast? I really focused on two things that I felt like 100% in my control. Those two things were shipping and fulfillment, because I can work my butt off. I have no problem with working. I can work my butt off to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. I can pick what kind of packaging supplies I'm getting, all that kind of stuff. For the most part, it was under my control. I obviously can't control the post office and some of the other things that come up. But yeah, I did. So I asked about that. 81% gave it a 5-star, essentially for fulfillment. Another 14% gave it a 4-star. I'm not sure what knocked it down 1 star, but that's okay. For me, I see this as about what I'm looking for. I'm tempted to look at the one person that gave it a 2-star and just say, why? Why did you not like shipping and fulfillment? What was the problem there? I don't know. Stuff happens. But so it was nice to just see that this was something I, generally speaking, had control over, and it did, follow through. The vast majority of people thought that it was, done well. All right, next question was, how satisfied are you with the print quality? This is another thing where I feel like you pick a printer, you do your best to make sure that you're picking the right kind of stock, paper stock, cover stock, the glossy UV finish, all of that jazz. And so with the print quality, again, I got 82.9% that gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and then another 11.8% that gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. One person gave it a 1, so that they did not like the print quality. That was interesting to me, but again, that definitely is an outlier. I want everyone to be happy, but again, you have to look at the whole trend. So this is good, especially because we're talking about format, and I did a perfect bound graphic novel format, more of a prestige book, and I think with Downcast 2, I'm going to make it even more of a prestige book. And focus on just adding more stuff to it, so there's more page count and some nice fun stuff to be in there. I think that's probably the right route to go based on some of the information I'm getting here. All right, the next question was, how satisfied are you with the art and story? This is something that, again, you put tons of work into, but you can't control how it comes over ultimately, because there's no accounting for taste. You also, this essentially is my first published comic book. So this really was, and I said this is the first time, this is my chance to break into the industry. You all allowed me to do that, so I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And so this was heartening to see. What this tells me is, most people gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's easy to listen to outliers and focus on those opinions, whether they be negative or extremely positive. But I don't know, to me, this is kind of nice. This is the first time I've seen it like this, rather than just anecdotally. I at least have 76 people that were polled, and I've got a bit of a spread here. But again, it's, the vast majority of people either gave it a 4 or a 5 star. If I include those, even 3 star, I think the next book, obviously I can improve. I'm planning on trying to improve, not just planning on trying to improve. So we're really working on our game to make it better. So this is good. I feel pretty positive about that. Last question was, how likely are you to back Downcast number 2? This is always something that has been on my mind. I know for everybody it's on your mind, that you're going to do one campaign, it does well, and then you go back to Indiegogo again, and then you fail completely, and you're like, what did I do wrong? And so this is interesting because of audience retention reasons, all sorts of things. I can't remember for the life of me what would be the average retention rate on a comic book from first issue to second issue. I know for crowdfunding, generally speaking, it is different. So I'm really curious about the numbers and how this is going to work out, especially over time with a lot of creators as they're putting out, additional books. And so in this case, 72.4% said 5 out of 5. They're going to back Downcast 2. Again, that feels great to hear. We will see, because that's out of 76 responses. And then an additional 15% said 4 out of 5. They're most likely going to back it. So that was really great. Essentially what this comes down to, lots of great feedback. I'm not really going to go over all that. But this was really, really cool to see, because breaking into comics is hard. Making comics is really hard. And one thing I've learned, even from making YouTube videos or any kind of creative endeavor, you have to keep doing it. You're only as good as your last story, as your last video, so on and so forth. And so for me, it's like you got to keep going and improving, and show how you're able to better your writing, how you're able to listen to your customers, and of course, like art as well, improving. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for the next leg of this journey. I've got a couple surprises that are going to be in the campaign. I've alluded to a few things. It is going to be a longer book. I'm going to really try and focus on nailing down that prestige graphic novel format, because it sounds like that's what everybody wants. That's what they like. Not everybody, but it sounds like that's what most people want. I might consider down the road doing floppies, in another route or something like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. Let me know what your comments are, what you think. The plan is to launch on Tuesday. And so I would join the mailing list, because you're running out of chances to do that in order to get your discounts. Even if you haven't backed the book before, a secret perk for people that need volume 1 and volume 2. So please sign up for the mailing list, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I will see you tomorrow.